It's becoming quite a trend to remake classic games and make them suitable for the next generation of gamers. Unfortunately, we've seen a few lackluster remakes getting released in the last couple of years as well. Nope, we want some proper remakes and we'll show you some good examples. Here are 10 remakes done properly, and that's the way we like it.
Oh, so you've played Super Smash Bros. Melee before?
The original Metal Gear Solid is one of the classic games you shouldn't have missed during the late 90s. Though everyone who did miss out now had the chance to play a full-fledged remake on the Nintendo GameCube. Together with the Canadian studio Silicon Knights, Hideo Kojima built a complete new version of the PS1 classic called the Twin Snakes. This remake had some fantastic new cutscenes, a first-person mode, and some goofy references to Nintendo and their games. With Twin Snakes being one of the best GameCube games ever made, we're still hoping that this remake will find its way to other platforms in the near future. Make it happen, Konami.
Please, don't.
We really love the attention Nintendo and Game Freak put in remaking their classic Pokemon games. Fire Red and Leaf Green were both a great way to play the first adventure again. Though when picking a solid remake for this list, we couldn't ignore Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which did an even better job at remaking the original. The Silver and Gold versions both already were the pinnacle in Pokemon gaming. However, its remakes improved on this by adding the Pokewalker device and online competitive battles. It made Heart Gold and Soul Silver the ultimate Pokemon experience, and it's still one of the most beloved Pokemon games ever made. Good job, Game Freak!
Power to stage 1 emitters in 3, 2, 1.
Most of the time, fan-made remakes are not worth mentioning, because they're either not good enough or they get shut down by the official rights holders. However, Black Mesa is the exception to that rule. This is a third-party remake of the original Half-Life, made by Crowbar Interactive. As you'll probably know, Half-Life is one of the best games ever made, so it certainly deserves a remake, because the 1998 classic looks a little bit dated by now. Black Mesa is going to change this, though it's still in development and should be a full release by the end of the year. Until then, you have to give the early access version a try. We know that everybody is looking forward to the Final Fantasy VII remake, but it's not the first remake of the stellar franchise that made us want to play a game again. In 2006, Square Enix released a full-fledged three-dimensional remake of Final Fantasy III for the Nintendo DS, a game that was previously only released in Japan. The 3D graphics look cute and impressive at the same time, making it one of the best portable RPGs ever. The game eventually also came out for the PSP and PC, and the follow-up, Final Fantasy IV, got the same treatment and was also remade as a Nintendo DS game. Though many gamers think the fourth part in the series is way better than the third, this third installment was the first one to get a proper remake and set these incredible remake standards. The Nintendo GameCube was a pretty special console that harbors many classic titles like this remake of Resident Evil. Capcom gave the classic from 1996 a total makeover by producing some of the most beautiful visuals ever seen. Even today, the graphics of this 2002 game look pretty impressive. The game retained more or less the same feeling and was still creepy as hell.
That was a close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
Really?
It was such a great remake that it was even remade again for a ton of other platforms, including the current generation of consoles. It set quite a high standard when it comes to making your classics suitable for new generations of gamers. Let's hope the upcoming remake of Resident Evil 2 gets the same amount of love. Tetsuya Mizuguchi is well known for his fantastical musical rail shooter Rez, a one-of-a-kind game that wowed us when it came out and deserves every bit of love. The game was first released for the Sega Dreamcast and Sony's PlayStation 2 and later on the Xbox 360. However, the game is best celebrated on the PlayStation 4 because it is completely redone and playable in virtual reality. United Game Artists proved that Rez is a timeless classic that gets even better in virtual reality. We just really wish we could buy the full bodysuit they use for demoing it at trade shows.
Now what's a man gotta do to get that sort of attention from you?
Lara Croft's first adventure was mind-blowing in 1996, but going back, it can be hard because of the controls. Gaming has come a long way, and so did Miss Lara Croft. Because 11 years later, the franchise returned to form with Tomb Raider Legend. Tomb Raider Anniversary was built on the same engine and reimagined Lara's first adventure as if it was made today. In 2007. Anniversary was available for almost every console available at the time, and it was a rare case of a remake being better than the original it's based on. Well, we're not so sure about that, but we can say Lara did an amazing job to retell her origin story. Metroid Zero Mission was released for the Game Boy Advance almost 20 years after the game it was based on came out. The classic NES Metroid from 1986 meant the birth of the franchise and the so-called Metroidvania genre. Zero Mission improved on this classic by adding some story elements and more detailed graphics, but it still used the same gameplay mechanics. Metroid Zero Mission impressed gamers and critics worldwide, and it's one of the better games available on the Game Boy Advance. Nintendo knows how to honor its classics, so it's pretty much a given that the upcoming 3DS remake of Metroid 2 will be a joy to play. The guys at Oddworld Inhabitants know how to make a proper remake of 1997's Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. Oddworld New and Tasty is completely built from the ground up and successfully retells the story of Abe, who breaks out of prison and has to save his fellow Mudokons.
Hey, chum. Hello.
This remake is made with so much care, resulting in beautiful graphics, but also slight improvements on the original game. The game managed to integrate a dynamic camera system, which makes the gameplay much smoother. Oddworld Inhabitants proves with New and Tasty that old games need proper care. We hope Abe's Exodus also gets a remake like this one. Bionic Commando got a reboot and a remake at the same time in 2008. While both were developed by Swedish developer Grin, the big-budget reboot didn't fare so well, but the digital Rearmed was a great amount of fun. Rearmed was supposed to be a prequel for the new reboot, but in fact it was a remake of the good old 1988 Capcom classic. It even featured artwork made by the Japanese legend Shinkiro. With some new features under its belt, Bionic Commando was future-proof and sold a ton on the digital platforms it was released on. It even got a sequel, but that one unfortunately wasn't of stellar quality. Let's hope this remake gets a release on current platforms, hopefully sparking the fire for a proper sequel. What's your favorite remake of all time? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Everybody, follow me. Okay. Stop. Okay.